All right. With all the drama, and that's all I can describe it as is drama, going on social media right now with this business of Terrarium, I felt I would take this opportunity to test out my new microphone anyway and go ahead and do a little bit of coverage and give my statement. And I'm hopeful those listening to the show have referenced my old episode. There was actually two of them about Terrarium, and I actually got a lot of crap from people because I refused to cover Terrarium, even though I was very clear and adamant about why I refused to cover Terrarium. And it was because of things that I called out in their terms and conditions, which it's clear to me that a lot of people simply don't read. And I want to be clear here. And by the way, hopefully my microphone sounds amazing because I think it sounds amazing. And I hope you feel the same way that it sounds amazing, at least to me. And I just took this opportunity to put it to the test. This is a great way to test the new audio firsthand. You know, kind of like the rap song says, I know it's school and work, but you need to be schooled and work to put my tool to work. So this microphone, my Audio Technica 2100 served me very well. It's now gone back, as well as my Zoom V3, to the singing hardware that I had set up. Now, back to Terrarium, this business. I got a lot of crap from a lot of people. Probably that was unreasonable levels of crap on that one because I refused to cover it. But I pointed out and I did a screenshot, and then I got more crap because people thought I was full of it, even though I screenshot it directly from the terms. And I said, here's what they're saying to you. They're telling you they can make your token lose its value at any time, and they're not responsible. And why would you be okay with that? I did a follow-on video because they surreptitiously edited their terms and conditions document, and they changed it to basically say, if you're in the United States, you're not allowed to trade this dude. Now, of course, I said that they're not going to be able to enforce that anyway. And I said that it's up to you and your risk and your tolerance for risk, whether or not you still wanted to go forward with it, because I felt like at least that verbiage was accurate in the sense that they were no longer denouncing it being an investment. They at least admitted it's an investment and it could be considered a security, and your risk is your own. And I'm cool with that statement. And I said that I would follow up with a coverage. I wanted to give it a little bit more time to marinate, as they say in the boxing business. And I still got hate. I still got a lot of crap because this Terrarium, as I said, was jumping like crazy on social media. All sorts of people covering it, all sorts of hype like nuts. And again, there was a lot of Satama whales apparently that jumped into the thing, and a lot of things going on. Well, you may have noticed that Terrarium's graph has been taking a crap, and I got a lot of crap for me saying that about Seifu, which also took a crap again. But with Terrarium, it truly took a crap, and you're probably wondering what the heck's going on, especially if you're not in the bubble that is social media. And let me just break down what I'm seeing. And I didn't follow it tight close because I frankly, again, I was not sold on Terrarium. I've never been sold on it from the day that I saw it for the first hand. Me personally, it didn't strike a nerve for me. It seemed like a lot of lofty promises and seemed like a decent, set of people and a decent project, scope, but I wasn't sold yet, and I wanted to wait more time. It wasn't that I was never going to cover it. I wanted to wait more time. I'm still not going to cover it like I would normally cover it, especially not with what happened. So apparently, one of the people, and this guy's apparently one of the high-ranking people in this project, sent out a message across social media with what appeared to be a screenshot of an email that appeared to be from Binance.us, alleging that Binance US had approved them to be listed on Binance.us. And a lot of people got confused because, unfortunately, people don't understand that Binance.us and Binance.com are two different entities, completely different entities. Binance.us is like the Salvation Army of trading. It's not the same as Binance.com. So a lot of people were getting overly hyped, and we saw unreasonable levels of pump going on in the project. And a number of influencers that have been covering the project excessively, I'll say, they pretty much were selling off the pumps like they normally should do. I always say, take the profits, right? So they're doing what they're normally supposed to do, which is they're taking the profits. Now the challenge is I'm looking at this email and I'm looking at some of the fallout. Binance.us responds and says, no, that's not our email. Don't send them any money. Now it's getting sketchy because if you look at the screenshot, it appears to be a Binance.us email. one of the influencers then chimes back and says, I think this is legit. I think they're serious. I think that they might have been duped, possibly, or scammed, but I don't think that they're malicious in intent. And if you've heard me say, often it's not even about them being malicious. Sometimes they're just incompetent. Sometimes that's a factor, and it plays in. And that's why I wanted to wait to test them and see if they're going to do what they tell me. And if they fail at that, then I wouldn't trust them with my money, because I don't enrich incompetence. So I looked at the email, and again, for those that don't know, new to the show, I was an auditor in a past life. So I know how to look for a lot of these red flags. And I noticed that the font is inconsistent on the screenshot, which usually implies that it's been fabricated. So I'm assuming, no proof, but I'm assuming something weird's going on, and I call it out. And the influencer says, no, I believe in the team. I think they're confident on the up and up. No problem. But again, it doesn't negate the fact that we're seeing this email looks very sketchy. Apparently, Terareum holds an AMA. And in the AMA, they're not giving any confidence to the people that have been supporting them, because the guy that sent this image essentially said that he did so, and I don't want to misquote him, so I'm not direct quoting, this is a paraphrase, and my head was spinning when I heard it, but apparently he chose to release this image as proof that there was a deal after allegedly Binance.us breached the contract by allowing them to be listed but then revoking it. If I read that correctly, that's what it seemed like was happening. So it's kind of like this, neener, I got you. Look, you said you were going to do this, deep. And if that's the case, I'm even more concerned about Terareum, because I don't know why listen, I'm going to apologize for this in advance, but I have to do it. I'm not sure why grown-ass men are sitting here that's like the old, back in the school days, right? It's like you get a love letter from some girl you got a crush on, and you flash it in the face of the school bully to say, look, neener, she likes me, not you. That's what this was. Childish nonsense. Then another influencer, not directly defending them, but trying to explain it. And apparently this person is very highly regarded in the crypto business. I've seen this person referenced on multiple occasions for his coverage, and he's aligned with another person, and the other person I think highly of, myself. But he chimes in and he says, there's a cultural thing, and in that culture, Indian culture, they just don't admit that they fuck up. And he's not wrong. There's data around this. But listen, at some point you kind of have to just say, okay, let's assume that this was not malicious. Let's assume he's just a blistering idiot. You've heard me before. I will never enrich blistering idiots. So to me, and to the credit, I did see a number of people say, you know what? I didn't like how that went. I'm not buying any more because I don't trust these dudes. Same thing I did with Paratoken. And people call me crazy with Paratoken. You got to understand, it's like when you do stuff like this, why should you trust them? And why should you enrich them any further? Now, there are people who are upset at many of the influencers who have been excessively covering Terareum. In their defense, many of them actually invested in the token. They actually believed in the token. It wasn't like they were enriched directly by what was happening. They might have been enriched when it pumped, right? And then they sold off the jump, but that's a normal strategy. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as they put their own money up, who cares? I think where people go wrong is assuming that every single person who covers it was a paid shill. That wasn't the case. There were quite a few people who put their own money in because they believed in the project, or number one, or they see what all the screw up Satama did, and they see another project that claims to want to do it right. It reminds me of the whole chaos with Antesinu and Shib, where you get a person and they want to spin up a project to attack the other side, and then ultimately they struggle and they screw up. Because if you heard me, I've said often, these projects, it's not that they're malicious, they're just incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And they start making stupid mistakes. And me, ethically, I can't justify enriching incompetence. I never have. So I look at it, and it might look okay on the surface, but I'm still concerned, and I want to buy a little bit of time. And if you heard my coverage about Libero, I said that ultimately the number one condition with them, I never said it's legit. I said it could pull. but I've already taken the profit. So if it did pull, it's already too late. But ultimately today, Libero, as far as I can tell, is the only one of these farming as a service models that's fully CERTIC audited. The rest of them haven't done that yet. So they've already increased their confidence. But going into it, I said, it's doing what they told me. I had to test them, test that I can buy in, test that I can take profit, test that everything's cool and there's no issues. But that took time. It was not something that I could do up front. And I was not going to advocate that it is or isn't a scam. I had to test it. Same with Terrarium, but with Terrarium, I saw just from the jump. You tell me that it's not an investment, and you tell me that you can just take the liquidity, and you tell me that you could just take my money, and I can't come after you. It's already FU status. Like, I was not supportive. When they changed the verbiage, I'm like, good on you. I'm still not going to support that, and that pissed a lot of people off. I'm hopeful, and I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful that people now learn. This is why I hold to my principle. I'm not going to cover a token I don't believe in. You should not you shouldn't get pissed because I don't cover it. You should try to understand why I won't cover it. And then make your own decision. If you want to buy a token that I won't cover, please, by all means. It's your money. Put your own money where you want to do. I'm just simply going to hold to my own standards. Nobody's going to pressure me into covering tokens I don't believe in, because it's unethical for me to do a coverage, even if I think it's a blistering scam. And I've covered one or two tokens where I straight up said, I don't trust this dude. Forever Financial was one of those. I said, I don't trust this dude. COVID Doge is another one. I was like, I might do those, but it's different. It's not like they're telling me something that's straight up insulting my intelligence. That's different. If you're telling me something that's straight insulting my intelligence, why would I give you the platform? Why would I spend time recording for you? Even if it's to trash you, I'm giving you a platform. Then people will come back and say, yeah, but you covered Seifu. The only reason I cover Seifu, even when I did, is because I covered Libero, and they are compared so that people can contrast. That's a different thing. But if you heard me, at no point did I say that Seifu is or isn't a scam. At no point did I say Libero is or isn't a scam. At no point did I say Titano is or isn't a scam. I cover them as a contrast. That's coverage. That's doing my job, which is to be as unbiased as I can be. However, I can still have stronger support for one of the ones in the group because it's doing what they told me, and the other ones are not. And I see Titano over here blocking whales at a whim, at a drop of a dime, and people don't have a problem with that. I see Seifu is run by a car salesman who allegedly has pulled 3 other projects, and people don't have a problem with this. No, I will call it out for what it is. You are free to ignore me. Blind ignore me. I support your right to ignore me. It's not going to change how I do my coverage because it's my show at the end of the day. And I support your right to listen or not listen. If you listen, you're going to hear me cover tokens I think are worth the time. That's the key. It's the ones I think are worth your time, because there could be something there and I just can't see it myself and I point you to it. Or there's great stuff there like with Meta DM, and it could be an exotic scam, or it might be the next great thing. Right now, Meta's X5, it could still pull because that's what happened with many of these other projects that pulled. So I can't say, and that's why I don't make it definitive. I just give it like I see it and I back it up with the score report. Terareum, it wasn't even worth the time. It wasn't worth the time, and it certainly, I didn't think that they were worthy, frankly, of getting any time on my platform excessive beyond what I'm telling you right here today. And that's the only reason I'm telling you here today is to finally address and lay to rest the concerns about why I'm not talking about the Terareum token. I'm telling you, with what all the garbage drama that happened recently, this, I hope, validates why I wasn't covering it. It's a smell test. I can sense when something doesn't feel right. When something's too good to be true, it probably is. We've heard it time and again, period. Libero sounds too good to be true, but they're proving it out. They're doing what they told me. Terareum never proved anything to me other than it looks like good people. It looks like you got some brains, but I didn't see any results other than a green chart. But a green chart, hell, any project can do a green chart. Why I still didn't see, and then you're on Ethereum, so I'm already anti-Ethereum, so that's already a ding against you, even though it should engender trust. And then the amount of hype this thing got is red flag after red flag after red flag. I talked about it. I simply have a stance. I will hold to my stance. Nobody will try to bully me outside of my stance. I will cover what I feel like covering and not cover what I don't feel like covering. And what my commitment to you is, I will always tell you why I will not cover a thing. Your job is to hear what I'm saying, and whether you agree or disagree doesn't really matter. You have to respect I'm coming at it with data. I'm not just coming at it with an emotional stance. I'm coming with data. I'm backing up my stance. A, B, C, D. Here are the reasons I'm not talking about this for you, unfortunately. Now, if you are adamant that your project, and I'm talking to the devs and I'm talking to people invested in it, if you're adamant that your project is legit and on the up and up and on the level, and you want them to want the smoke, your task then is to go to your project team and get them to come on the show so that I can talk to them directly. And as I said before, I guarantee you, by the time that call's done, I'm going to be able to know pretty confidently whether it's a straight scam or they're reasonably legit. There's a reason none of them want the smoke. There's a reason that I had the one and they backed out, because they didn't want the smoke either, because they know I'm not going to coddle any of them. I'm not going to let them get away with free stuff. You guys hear me. You hear me. You hear my flow. You hear my direct. You hear how I treat it. And ultimately, I'm still respectful when I deliver it. But I'm not going to allow any of that to get away with it. No. Why should I? Because if they're truly legit, they're going to want the smoke. They should be coming after me saying, no, we want to prove that we're legit and we're serious on this thing. When you have this currency, one, and it rugs, even though it's on AMAs on the show, what does that tell you? It tells you that the AMA structure doesn't work. When you're asking them anything, it doesn't work because they can just make up answers. And we're not really testing it. We're not really testing them and putting them to the fire to say, your job, developer, is to prove to me why I should give a crap about your token. And your job is to give me confidence of why I should buy into you. Think about it. If this was the stock market, that's exactly what we would do. We would hold them accountable. We would put their feet to the fire and we wouldn't let them off the hook. And we would ask them really tough questions. And I got to admit, some, not all, but some of the influencers recently are disappointing me in how they're letting some of these tokens off the hook with some of the soft touch that I'm hearing. And then they backtrack later when they get caught out that they didn't catch these basic fundamentals. Things like a copy paste of a website, for example. Like it's a basic fundamental. Then people come at and say, well, but this is a copy of that one. Difference there is that, again, the project's doing what they told me. At the end of the day, that's the means test. Everything else is a flag. Red, yellow, green. If I see that there's red flags, I will call it out directly to their face. I have no fear of any of these. They don't know me and I don't know them, but they got to get on the show. So if you can get them on the show, I will run them through the paces. And by the time we're done, I will know definitively, you guys, I think you're full of crap. Let's fix that. Because if you believe you're not full of crap, let's fix why I think you're full of crap. Could be something so simple as, why does your website look like garbage? Could be something so simple as, why are you cramming everybody on Telescam? Why aren't you embracing all of social media? Could be something so simple as having triggered admins in the Telescam. Could be something so simple as a copy paste of a thing. Could be something so simple as an excessive focus on NFTs. I can call all this stuff out. Their job is to come back at me and give me responses. And as long as the responses are reasonably satisfactory, I'll let it go. And then I'll give my findings after the fact. And I think any of the tokens that step up and take that smoke and they take it on the chin, I'm talking, they want hard questions. They want the serious. They want the business. I think they're going to be the ones that are going to succeed long term of the altcoins. I'm talking about altcoins here. That's my thoughts on it. Terarium is not getting any coverage from me. I'm still going to wait some time because I want to be fair, but this recent fiasco doesn't give me any confidence, and it convinces me I was pretty spot on with my skepticism about the project. It could turn around. It is possible they're just blistering idiots. If it's true that they're just blistering idiots, because I don't think they're malicious people. I heard them talk. I heard what they were doing. It struck me that it didn't strike me as ego. It struck me as they're just tap dancing. They don't really know what the heck they're doing. And they're too proud to ask for help. And it sounds like somebody tried to guide them and advise them with something and told them something stupid. And this whole business of getting on the exchanges, it struck me that they're new to it. because a lot of the disclosures they're doing are violating NDAs and all this, and they can get themselves in some big trouble. So let's say that they're perfectly legit, up on the up and up, and everything's clean and kosher. We don't know that later they don't get sued out of their ass and then you lose all your money because they're having to fight lawsuits. Like that's when you talk risk, when you're doing the stuff that they're doing, all it's doing is stacking risk. I say the same thing about the cult leader on Satama. You're doing all these things that create risk and you're not making it any better because you keep making it worse with every time you open your damn mouth. Those are the ones I don't personally support. I would love to see them change and I would love to see them accept the smoke because I'll gladly tell them straight to their face or over video or over whatever, look, what you're doing is creating risk. Your job is to explain to me why this makes any damn sense, because what I'm seeing is you're going to get sued out of your ass, and that's going to be investors' money. Why are you playing around with it like that? And the biggest problem, both of these guys are running LLCs. With the LLC, it insulates the individual from that financial risk unless they do deeper discovery and they have to go to court and there's a process. So the individual gets off scot-free. We see that time and again. And bankruptcy allows them to hide and duck the smoke. The fact that there's an LLC makes me even more nervous in both these cases because while the LLC should add credibility, what it doesn't support is the fact that, like on Satama, it's supposed to be a community token. There shouldn't be a business behind the damn thing. It should be owned by the community. And unfortunately, this business is tanking it because the business is saying crap that's trashing it. With Terareum, the contract was not renounced. So at least you can make a case that the business should be there because it's not a community token. However, when they make decisions like this, it's like you're turning it into trash and then you're giving it to the community at some point in the future as trash. Why would either be acceptable? That's my stance. That's how I feel about it. Nobody's going to change my mind unless the devs want to come on the show and talk it out. From what I heard, I think I would steamroll them and I wouldn't want to be in a position where they are feeling uncomfortable because it didn't strike me that they would be willing to take that smoke. If I'm wrong, I would love to be proven wrong. I always love to be proven wrong. If they want the smoke, if you're invested in Terareum listening to this and they want the smoke, tell them. Tell them to come on the show. It's a 3-part process. It's easy. I don't charge. And we can chat it out. Take 30 minutes to just talk it out. I am not doing an AMA, although I will ask them anything. It's not going to be formed as an AMA. It's going to be formed as an inquisition. I'm going to ask the hard questions of things I have issues with. And I expect to get solid, direct, straight answers. And if they can't answer, they better find somebody who can. And if they're umming and ahhing and then I'm going to call that a risk. Because you should have answers to anything I would ask you. Because you're a developer of a project. And you gave certain commitments to the people that have invested in you and have hyped you on social media. And you failed them. And I'd like to understand why. So that anybody listening to my show gets a little bit more confidence in who they are and what they're doing than what I'm seeing on social media. Now, their rep is trashed. So that's how I feel about it. Feel free, by all means, feel free to contact us and leave your thoughts and feedback, questions, comments. Again, you're not going to bully me into covering the thing. But I always am open to any comments, questions, or feedback about anything that we do. Absolutely. Leave it in comments. Just know that sometimes YouTube will jack up and not give me the information. So if that turns out happening, of course, you can send us email at mail@cryptotalkradio.net. And that I definitely will get because I just set that up and it's working beautifully.